myself so people can see my face?
No,
Yeah.
you don't have to. You don't have to at all.
And
Alrighty,
I'm,
ladies and
Y'all
gentlemen,
want
we are live, and this is the Snowbird meeting room. This is Sitcon 2952 Star Citizen past, present, and future. I am here with my one mentor, my two mentors actually, Void Walker Joe and King Payne. And also I have two new people. I have Charmy. She is the my student in the Snowbird Academy, and also Cole. He is
Yo.
also a student as well. Or well, he's been in the game for a while, but he stepped away for a bit, and now he's getting back in, and he's getting it all into it. So, welcome to the Snowbird Meeting Room, Sitcon 2952. Introduce yourselves, and let's go from there. Big Joe, you're number one.
Me,
Yes, you.
uh, I'm Void Walker Joe, and I'm an org leader of Lost Suli, and I've been playing since the end of 2019. And yeah, that is me.
Yes, and you're my first org leader, and I am so proud to have been in the org and still part of it. And we'll go to the next person, the one person that brought me through the game and after my first month of being alone, King Payne.
hi. um, yeah, yeah, Pain. Just call me Pain. Fine. I've been playing since a little before October 2019, but I had my eye on the game at like 2018. I was introduced to it through some friends of mine who, or rather family, I should say. And yeah, I've kind of been playing nonstop since then. A little bit about me and stuff like that. I, besides my day job, I'm actually a game developer, and
Nice,
I'm
nice.
a little bit of a nerd, so you can't tell by the Star Wars shirt. Uh, but yeah, I'm pretty open. So I kind of look at all the stuff through the lens of a game developer, how they're producing it, stuff like that. So I always have that kind of opinion. So yeah, um, I primarily am part of an org named IHLS, and our objective is primarily just hauling stuff, space FedEx. So
Right? Well, you're the one that kind of got me into cargo hauling, so I appreciate it. It's something that I enjoy more than anything in the game. So, all right. We'll go to Cole next. He's had a little bit of experience in the game. And Cole, tell us about yourself. How you got into it, and what's going on.
Yeah, so yeah, I actually seen the game on TikTok. Seen it. I'm all into like open world games and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing. I got the game. I want to say middle of summer last year. Been on and off, deleting the game. Didn't know how to play it. Met these fine group of gentlemen. Really got into the game. Really hard. A little bit about myself. I was in the military for a little bit, National Guard. Did my time, got out. I stream also, I'm on Twitch, Geeko03 if you want to follow me. Really,
Uh,
that's really about it. I love going to the range. I mean, other than that, I
all
play a bunch of
right.
video games other than Star Citizen. So,
Okay. Well, I'll follow you since you know
hmm
I've got a
yeah,
Twitch channel, which I was working on today, so I can get that back up and running.
right.
And here we go. The next person on the panel is Charmy. She is a player that started about 3 months ago with her husband, Rock Jumper. And Charmy, tell us about yourself and how you got into the game. And you are
well,
a student, and you've passed two classes. So Talk to us.
Yes. Well, my husband actually has been playing this game for about 5 years. He was in when 2.0 came out, when but well before the expanse that we see now.
Hmm.
Um, so I had been watching him play all along during that time period. And one day he looks at me, he goes, and everybody else is playing on this. He goes, I've got the spare account, blah, blah. So he, been letting everybody try it. And then he goes, by the way, I got this for you. You're going to play. And I said, okay. So here comes the gaming grandma. Uh, you know, a grandmother been playing other games for God 20 plus years. I have another group that I do other games with, and I've joined this wonderful organization here with the Snowbirds. And
Appreciate it.
Shadow has been a godsend for me because God loved my husband, but he literally took me and just threw me into the deep end and said, swim. and, I, and I'd be like, how do I do this? So Shadow has really helped me get comfortable with the game
Uh,
and
Thank you.
just the various different aspects of it. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right. We've all had our introductions. And so, 2952 Citizencon, it was my first, and I was impressed. I have to say. Now, I will be in the game a year as of November 14th, which is King Payne's birthday. So it was a very, very interesting experience for me. Even though I did not go to the actual CitizenCon itself, I was impressed with what I saw and I enjoyed it. Um, King, this is your second, I would imagine.
No, this will be my fourth CitizenCon.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, like I said, I was watching about a year before 2019, so 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2020. Oh, this is on. Shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and the thing you got to remember about CitizenCon, Bella, I need you to stop. Sorry, dog.
Yeah.
um, they are, for lack of a better term, they get criticized as the hype machine, and they should be excited about the things that they present because it is the things they are going to do, the things they're trying to do, the things that their dreams are. They're all that stuff. So some of us in the community get a little bit of a jaded lens when it comes to a lot of these things. But as a developer, I appreciate what they talk about because it gives a scope of how much they're trying to achieve within an amount of time.
Yes.
Sometimes those things are gargantuous and very difficult to deal with. Sometimes those things are small and you wonder why they ain't done yet. But hey, sometimes priorities take advantage over others. But yeah, it always amazes me on the things that they talk about and come out with. And I know for the last three Citizen Cons, Pyro has been the focus on getting to. Getting from Stanton to Pyro is probably a massive feat in of itself, not including some of the gameplay features coming in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Charmy,
Yes, sir.
what did you, this was your Citizen Con. This was your first. And well, I don't know. Have you seen any with Rock
Honestly,
Jumper?
Rocky, the problem with Rocky, he likes to watch his on the computer instead of like on a TV where I actually can watch with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he watched it while I'm sitting here looking over his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he seemed to give a very good, strong feedback um, with what they were offering up with the various different changes. He's really looking forward to, of course, Pyro when it comes out. So, um, but he he just seemed very pleasantly positive. Of course, he's always been positive about this game. With the good and the bad that can come with the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been positive about it. He loves the game. You
Right.
know, I, but as far as like the new expansion, number one, been nice not to have to, you can click and not click and drag all everything. Made the moving the inventory a little easier. Um,
Oh, for
as far as
318. For 318. Yes.
mhm, which is going to be nice. Um, but as far as the new expansion, I'm excited to see. I mean, two separate universes that are coming up.
Mhm. Two,
That's just going to be
yeah, two separate systems. Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
and that's just going to be to me. I'm still learning the first system. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when it's time to go into no man's land, where it's the Wild West, from what I hear.
Right. Right. Okay. So, Joe.
Um, well, me joining everything at the tail end of 2019, I've only seen two, including this one that just happened because of COVID and everything. And I was really hoping to have an actual event to go to because I'm only a couple hours away if they chose to do it in LA again. Uh, but maybe next year. But yeah, I honestly the only thing I could care less on what they showed. I'm totally happy with whatever they show. But the one thing that made me the most happy was everything they showed on is actual stuff that they're working on. So it's not like they showed um, a bunch of stuff that they want to do and haven't even started on yet. So I think
Uh,
that shows that they've grown and kind of know better now, hopefully. And I think it's a good sign for citizen cons after this. I think next year will
mhm.
be huge because by then, it'll be another year, and this next year. That's when all the crazy um, stuff that actually makes the game a game is going to be out, and we're already going to have opinions on. We're actually going to see how it's going to impact the game, and so that one I think is going to be by far the biggest, the best, and the most hyped up Citizen Con because that's going to be a lot of news on how 4.0 is going to go if it
Yes.
hasn't released by then,
Mhm.
um, or even beyond that. And maybe I'm kind of thinking that after a 4.0, maybe that's when, because all the major systems would be on board. Maybe that's when we can start looking at like a beta or something, or maybe they can mention it, you know. But see, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's I overall I liked it. I know a lot of people were disappointed with this year's Citizen Con, uh, just because there wasn't really too much to see. But I liked it.
Mhm.
I'm all for it. Even the crazy 2 hour rant that Chris had at the end there, I loved it all. I just like seeing his spark his childlike wonder kind of go on with the game. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a big kid just like I am. So,
Hmm.
all right. And Cole.
Yeah, considering this is my first Citizen Con, sorry. I don't have too much. I'm excited for all the updates and all the cool things that they're gonna bring back to the game. Well, sorry, not back to the game. Bring to the game. I just hope it's playable. I don't want it rushed. I mean, if it comes out,
Yeah,
next year or the year after, I just want the game perfect. Playable.
exactly. Exactly. I
But
mean,
other than that,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Oh, no, no, you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I mean, just want the game perfect
Yeah.
and fun.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, we're all we're all hyped. Well, I'm not trying to say everybody's hyped, but from what I've seen and what I've played over the almost a year, I've enjoyed the game for what it is, with all the bad and all the good.
Right.
And if I didn't have a passion for it, I wouldn't play it. Plain simple as that. And yes, you do get frustrated with it. And yes, there's sometimes you want to cuss it out and call it an SOB and all like this. But then you come back to it and you enjoy it because it's something that you like. I mean, it's a love hate, you know. So to move it along, I'm going to open up with this video, the design brief investigations, and we already have one in the game already, and that's the PI investigation mission at the Kovalex facility.
That's with
So
the cave stuff.
yeah, in the caves, yes. So this is going to be, they're going to put more into it. So here we go. Let me know if everybody can see it and hear it. You good?
Hi, my name's Elliot Mulvey. I'm a principal
not
systems
see
designer.
anything.
I work with Luke Presley on the mission feature team. I'm here today to talk
Oh,
about
that's right.
one of the
Charlie, you
mission
got one
types
screen.
we're prototyping.
So this is an early look at new mission type, and
That's
usually
okay.
we don't give you a look this early. It's because we don't have the
Can you hear it?
But people keep asking to see the design brief, so we thought, what
Yeah,
the
it's a
heck,
little low. You
let's
can
see.
probably turn it up a little bit more.
Okay, hold on one second.
That's better.
So a mission is built out of objective types, and the mission type really is just the most critical or challenging objective in that mission.
Currently, we have a number of mission types in the game. Some of these are not built in that modular sense. Some of these are very much bespokely built to test out a feature at one time. The original PI Wanted is one of those. The current mission types that do exist is we have deliveries, which are essentially a form of collect and drop off. We have eliminate missions, which is just kill someone, and eliminate ship missions, which is go there and kill a, destroy a ship that has a person inside of it. And there's many more. The way we see missions is they're comprised of little bits of gameplay. So, for example, we have missions where you're sent to kill a singular person or pick up a box or kill a bunch of enemies. So the way how we build our missions is we combine these together. So we'll have missions where you have to pick up a box, but we'll have enemies there that you have to kill as they're kind of like an obstacle for you to get around.
That isn't to say that you can't build a mission out of a single objective. The assassination mission, for instance, has one objective: assassinate a target. But even the most like simplistic mission, like the delivery mission, is actually built out of two objectives. There's the collection of the item and the delivery of the item. And if we made the collection of that item like even more difficult, we'd refer to it as a collect mission rather than a deliver mission.
So our objective types, for the time being, have been pretty simple. You know, kill this person, go here, do this. Until now, we're now looking at doing one of the most complex type of objective and gameplay things we've tackled in MFT. With that said, we're working on a new mission type, and that's investigation. Currently in the game, the player can feel like a bounty hunter, a mercenary, a person who does deliveries, you know, a cargo hauler. We want to make them feel like a detective as a new route. You know, we're expanding constantly. We're building mining, salvage, and detective is going to be our focus in MFT.
The experience we want to give players with the investigation mission is that they feel like a detective, that they feel like they're collecting evidence that will ultimately answer the question that has been posed to them, and that they're able to kind of search through the evidence and find the red herrings and like choose the right answer.
So what we want is we want to build a mission that requires you to have to think, requires you to have to look around, search your environment, detail, look at each individual clue and make sure you fully understand it before you make your decision as the detective.
And there'll also be red herrings thrown in there, so evidence will really have to be like poured over to be able to determine whether it's actually credible or not. We also wanted to create narratives around our locations that we haven't done before, like really dig into like why has this derelict become a derelict? Or why have all the ship's crew come to be dead? Or why has this cargo gone missing? At the core of this mission, we're really asking the player to use their brain rather than their gun or their ship.
So for this mission type, I don't want to breadcrumb players along. I want you to feel like a detective. I will give you a story, I will give you little bits of clues, and you have to make up this full sort of painting and decide exactly what has happened here. And then the rest of the decision is on yours. I might not tell you if it's wrong or right, you might find out. The idea is that you feel like a detective and you're so sure of your decision that you're going with that. So the next stage in this whole process is building a pitch. You know, we have to come up with our ideas, how we want it to work, and then we have to present it to CR, Tony, and Todd, and make sure they're all happy with it and all of our visions are aligned. So when we're building the pitch, we start off by going over the ideal experience we want for the player. We start off with the most advanced things, all the gameplay mechanics we could dream of to bring this sort of role to life as a detective. And then we have to start looking at stripping it back to see when we can release it, what's the minimum viable product for this experience.
And in the case of the investigation mission, we came up with two. So the first pitch is extremely simple, and it revolves around being able to find a definite answer, like something that is undisputable. For instance, we came up with a mission where there is a repairman that's gone missing, and you can go to his office and you can find some correspondence that will lead you to another place which will have his like work itinerary on there, and they're all crossed off until one. And if you're smart, you'll go to that location, and should you go to that location to do a little searching, you'll find his body there, and he's been like electrocuted, fixing the final thing on his list. And there's your definitive ending. Whereas the second pitch, it's more about allowing the player to choose when they're done, like when they think they have solved the mystery. And the way we do this is we scatter evidence around the location and clues that lead you to that evidence. And obviously there can be red herrings in there. You can get your like answer up to a credible state, which might still be the wrong answer but you can complete the mission then. Whereas if you'd have carried on digging a little more, maybe found a few more clues and followed them, you would perhaps find an indisputable piece of evidence, like, you know, I did it kind of thing, that would get you like the bonus for the mission. And both pitches had their strengths and weaknesses. The simple pitch, we could see like how easy it was to scale, and it involved less complex narrative work. But we ultimately decided to go for the second because we liked the idea of giving the player the agency to decide when they were done. So we're in the prototype phase with the investigation mission, which is more important than ever because it's such a complex mission, and we need to ensure that it's scalable and that other designers can make their own mysteries with it.
With the pitches, we can now prototype and sort of get that gameplay feel and see which one we want to explore more for the player's experience. Some of the hardest points of this are going to be the scalability of it. An investigation at its core is a story, so the story should always be at the forefront and the focus.
So the first stage of prototyping was to prove that we could make it like a mystery happen in the most restricted location we have, which was like a derelict. So this kind of interplay between the crew of it. From there, we're going to expand so that it takes into account more locations and uses all of the evidence retrieval interactions that we currently have. For instance, like you can kill a guy and get information off him. You can find a corpse, get information off it. You can loot a box, get information off it. And then we'll be prototyping the newer ways of getting information off of things. We're looking into using the med gun to find the name and cause of death of people, and we're looking into being able to like find the mobile lesson in inventory and download data from it.
One of the hardest things that we have to figure out is the story. The investigation will live and die by its story. So we work very closely with the writers to try and figure out what kind of story we want to tell, what kind of clues we want to give, and then after that point we look at sort of what obstacles we want to put in your way, you know, keypad locked doors, enemies, like traversal puzzles, things like that.
The main challenge for creating this mission is ensuring that the player has enough guidance to complete it without putting mission markers on everything. Like, it is supposed to be about them searching, figuring clues out for themselves, and finding the answer themselves.
We want you to still feel like that detective, but ensure that we're giving you enough information in the ways that we can.
And we're working with the UI designer on the new mobiles, which should really help with this.
So this has been our video design brief on our investigation missions. We're really excited to bring these to you. We wanted to give you an early look to let you know what we're thinking and see what you're thinking about these as well.
And we're really excited about it because it will allow us to inject a lot more story into the persistent universe.
So with everything we do, iteration is a key part of how we build things. So by the time you see this, and maybe by the time it comes out, it might have changed drastically. We don't know yet. We're still working on it and figuring out the fine details. But player experience and player agency is at the focus of what we're trying to achieve.
We're really excited and hope you are too.
And I'm sure we'll be talking about this again in the future.
Okay, so we've had that first video, and for those who want to reiterate on it, I'm open to everybody having their thoughts and opinions and go from there. So let's go. Mike,
Yeah.
what do you think?
So I think it's really cool that they're kind of trying to upgrade the current mission styles of investigations, because current ones are basically you just find a body. That's pretty much it. There's not really much else to it. They have integrated some newer stuff, newer missions that you have to go retrieve things and submit them. But it's nice as a player to see these things, these new kinds of ideas starting to bubble up in their brains so they can produce more interesting types of missions. As a developer, I see the potential for not just investigation missions, but this kind of framework that they've developed can allow for other things. For example, if you're sent on a task to grab a box and you get the box, but then all of a sudden you get more options to either submit it to another party, kind of like a betrayal system a little bit, or even submit it directly back to the people, or even run off with it and sell it your own. Like, those options need to be there, and this kind of framework allows those things to kind of happen. This could also be pushed into the bounty hunter idea too. So the difference between investigations and bounty hunting is the end goal. And in this scenario, in this kind of framework, bounty hunting would allow you to go from looking for your target to capturing your target. So that's just my thought on it. I think it has a lot of potential, and kind of to reflect what Joe said earlier, it's a lot of let's see, this is a what we want to do kind of thing.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. Joe?
Yeah, I think this whole panel was my least favorite, just because it was just a little upgrade to what we already have. So I feel like when it does get fleshed out, or at least the first iteration of it gets fleshed out and put out there, it's gonna be cool to experience, but it's not gonna be different enough, I think. I'm sure it's gonna be a little broken too. But other than that, I think yeah, it's got a lot of possibilities to kind of branch out and be kind of morph into so many other things, like King was saying about the bounty hunting. Something I would love to see is, when you die, whether it's like from a griefer or anybody with a crime stat kills you, right? And they get a crime stat. I feel like that should, maybe when PS is an actual thing that works, your body persists at least long enough for that to create its own investigation mission for somebody else. They come investigate why you died, and then maybe they figure out, oh, is this asshole over here, and then it turns into a bounty hunting mission where that person has to go hunt him down,
Right.
or maybe hire somebody else to go do that part, or something else. I don't know, but that's kind of something that I thought would be kind of cool. But yeah, other than that, like, I don't know. It's kind of meh. It's I think the most fleshed out mission that's in the game right now is that Kovalex mission, and it's got actual voice actors, lines, scripted lines, data pads that you actually get like a whole story and a little bit of lore behind it. And I think that's what I want to really like shine in these missions too. When it's not, if it wasn't something like what I suggested earlier, I want it to be lore heavy. I want to learn about something, about the game.
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
yeah, that's what
Okay.
I think.
Okay. All right. Charmy, next.
Well, my experience is very minimal when it comes to the investigative. I've tried my hand at one of the missions, and it was bugged out, so I never could find what I was looking for, and then it timed out on me. So I'm gonna wait and see when it comes to that. And I like a story driven quest. Well, I call quest driven. I'm used to playing different MMOs, and you know, there's a lot of story that goes, you know, with the gameplay
Mm-hmm.
and tells you story along the way while you're doing your tasks. And so I agree with Joe. I think that having something there to motivate you to want to go and investigate further, and then go, okay, all right, here's this, all right, cool, would be helpful for those that like to do those kind of missions.
Yes. Agreed. Okay. And Cole?
Yeah, I have done my fair share of investigations. Like going off what Joe said, there's no wow into it. Like I don't see anything like that's gonna change the game. It's not. I don't see people going on to do investigations. Yeah, it might be an experience, but other than that, like it's not game changing. So
Yeah. I mean, we've done the investigation missions. They're putting more into it where we have to do more to make it more interesting. And I can see where some people would say, "Okay, we've already done this." So to me, yeah, I've done it myself and finished some and couldn't complete some because they were bugged out. But it may make it for the new player, for the brand new player, okay, that is helped and guided through, it's going to make a big difference. So they're going to enjoy it. It just depends, okay? You know,
So
as long as it's flushed out and completed. Go ahead, Charmy.
if their main goal is to try to bring in more players from other platforms, and I don't not say platforms, I mean other games in general, anything that they can do to bring them in is going to benefit them in the long haul. Like I said with Joe, I agree 100%, because I mean there's some of those MMOs are starting to die out. People are getting bored and they need something. They need something to spark their interest. This game, it offers a lot, but I think if they did put some storyline into it, it would offer a lot to the masses.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Everybody ready to move on to another video?
Sure.
Sure.
Alrighty, hold on a second. Let me get out of this one.
While you're pulling that up, to kind of echo a little bit on the whole player experience situation.
Yeah.
The I think the primary concern on every Star Citizen's player's mind is the state of the state of the verse in general, like how well it performs. It's a
Yes.
big thing.
Yes.
New players coming into this whole thing, when they experience missions for the first time, and like my first time doing a box mission, I went to the marker. Where's the box?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if that's been fixed because I haven't done box missions
Server
since.
meshing. None of this is going to be truly something that new players are going to enjoy until server meshing and all their other crazy ass systems that they're replacing other things with in the game. Once that starts performing at a decent level to where, I mean, you can actually play the game, uh, that's when you can actually play it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
For
So
the new players. For us, we don't. We obviously we've been around for a while. We don't really care. Well, we do
Y'all are
care, but like
amateurs for
we're here no matter what. But yeah, for the console players that are very weak-minded when it comes.
a little impatient about everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I I've got a friend who we tried to get in over here to play, and she tried it, and again, it was, of course, I think it was probably the worst time for her to have tried it because it was before this last patch, uh,
Oh.
before 317, and it did just as a new player, and I think they were doing some free fly thing going on that weekend. It was free to play, so she downloaded it to try it out, and she couldn't even get out of the area she was in, and decided, as far as the the I guess you could say the herky jerkiness of it, because it was just very unstable. It was like at that moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince her it's not that bad. She needs to come try it. I think she would like it, but
You can't convince them. It's
No.
not gonna happen. If they're willing to give up that fast, it's just not gonna happen. I've had a lot of friends too that try the game during free flies, and bugs just wipe them out completely. So
I gotta say, like, free flies are the worst time to introduce players because
Yes.
that's when the server's under such a massive influx of
Yeah.
players in general, and it's just awful.
too
I
much stress
avoid
on
free
the
flies.
servers.
Yeah,
they're
I try
doing
my
good
best.
still somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I came into the game before IEE, so I didn't experience all of that, and I hit it on 315 when the new inventory was introduced, medical gameplay, and then after that, that's when IAE hit, and I I was alone, so I didn't know all the particulars about anything, but that's where I got the first taste of my dream ship, the C2, and started flying and took it for a rental run and had a great old time. So then it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm not making any money at this. I'm having a rough time. I keep dying and losing everything. And it just made it to the point where I was like getting really frustrated. And and I just happened to have open chat open, global chat. And that's how I met Mike, because I had the Cyclone. And if I hadn't met Mike and him bringing me into Joe's the Lost Sully, and I would have probably said, you know what, I'm gonna take a break from it, step away from it, and stuff like that. Having that person to reach out to you, and then having people help you along the way makes a big difference in the game.
Yeah, that's you walk in, if you don't, being a brand new player, like I said, I've only been at it about 3 or 4 months, and it was like, even though I had my husband sitting over my shoulder kind of telling me, do this, do this, do this, it wasn't. It was nice having somebody say, "Okay, now here you need to try to do this way," or I felt lost. I mean, because it's a very big game. There's a lot of controls, a lot of just different aspects of it that if you're brand new and you don't have a user guide, it's frustrating.
Yeah,
It's very frustrating.
it is. It is.
But it's a really good game and it's very fast. And you got to be technical minded.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Cole, you got anything to add to that?
Nope.
Nope. You're all good?
No, I'm all good.
All right. Okay. The next one is the power play. This is going to be the big game changer for multiplayer on a ship, on a large ship. So here we go with this one. I am going to go ahead and start it.
Hi, my name is Dan Truffin. I'm Assistant Director for PU Content, and with Thorsten Lyman here today, we will be talking to you about something we think it will
Hello.
change the way Star Citizen functions and works and how the players will play the game in the future, and that is resource management. Resource management is the underlying system that allows items to produce, consume, and store resources in the game. It is the digital representation of real-life cables, pipes, tanks, batteries, or anything like this that you can imagine.
It's the foundation of the ships where you have certain resources like fuel
Yeah, I
and
see you, Cole.
energy powering certain
I think
items
you,
on the ship. But it's also
dropped off of Discord.
the system that will lie below
Can you hear
any
us?
station or
Yeah, I can
any
hear you.
vehicle.
Yeah, I'm
Anything
here.
that you can imagine in our universe
My camera
that
don't work.
actually requires
Was
a
that my
certain
only?
type of resource.
Was
Resource
that only my
management is
Discord?
not
My
just a
Discord just
system.
crashed.
Yeah, it was only you, but
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was
Oh,
just
okay,
you.
okay.
You're all good.
Oh, damn.
Charmy,
Alright.
you still there and you can see?
Uh huh.
Okay. Nomad, you good?
I'm here.
All right. Okay. I'm going to kick it back over. Welcome, Nomads. We started at 4, so no worries. Just drop in and we're heading on into the next video.
That helps ships function. It is a thing that's integral to the functionality of the entire universe. It will be the way surface outposts function, underground facilities, space stations, landing zones, everything in Star Citizen will function using resource management.
So we will start with the smaller vehicles, and the gameplay for those smaller vehicles way more interesting than what we have right now. And from that, we can move on to like bigger ships, and finally the capital ships will have a real purpose in the world, and where it will have a real meaning that you have the multiple roles inside those ships.
It will drastically increase the time to kill for all vehicles in Star Citizen, and it will encourage people to disable ships rather than destroy them. Missions like Siege of Horizon will increase in scope and scale up a lot more with the use of resource management, as players will be able to cripple resources, change the way resources are distributed, cut power, cut certain fuel and critical parts in order to progress further in those missions.
We can suddenly scale a lot bigger than what we have right now. And the reasons are that we have more control over the powers of certain platforms there, and we can introduce some interesting gameplay that facilitates these functionalities.
Resource management is going to open up the possibility of player structures, player-owned outposts on planet or stations in space, where the player will have to manage resources, bring in fuel, do repairs. And this will not be something that only caters towards the engineer. This will be something that is valuable for everyone in the world of Star Citizen.
Resource management will finally allow players to build their own bases and their own homesteads and actually keep that loop engaging and fun.
And really, this is the main thing that makes multi-crew gameplay possible. We envision the players taking on roles like engineer, mechanic, tactical officer, And while you have your engineer trying to maintain all the resources functioning and flowing perfectly and all the items in good operation, you will have mechanics running throughout the ship trying to change fuses, repair various things that have broken down. You will have tactical officers moving shields from one side of the ship to another in order to counter whatever incoming damage you have. Obviously, the pilot is going to be doing his job trying to move the ship out of harm's way. The gunners are going to be taking out enemy incoming fighters or other ships. This is how we envision this entire ecosystem just coming together and providing what we hope is true multi-crew gameplay. And for all of you out there that are waiting for the Idrises and Javelins and want to use these ships, this is the system that is going to make using those ships possible. So all that said, this is a really important system for Star Citizen, but let's dig into the details and see what exactly this is. Resource management can be broken down into several key elements. Power, energy, resources, life support, item maintenance, relay handling, access control, and gravity. So let's start with power, energy, and resources. The players can choose to overload items in order to get more efficiency out of them at the risk of burning them out. They can also underload items to save some resources if they don't need the full efficiency of an item. The players will have to pay attention to the balance of resources, power, fuel, coolant, heat generated in order to maintain a well-oiled and balanced ship. And overall, prioritizing certain items and their resource consumption.
Life support is the most important thing you have to pay attention to in your ships now, since atmosphere is finite in all the spaces that you might discover. And here, the life support system is the key factor. Here, the life support, you have to maintain it, meaning you have to make sure that the consumables inside the life support generator are always there to make sure that it can generate breathable atmosphere for you, or the temperature is actually increased to a human livable factor, so you don't freeze to death or you are not cooked.
As part of item maintenance, the player will be able to control items throughout the ship, turn them on, turn them off. They will be able to remove broken items and replace them with new items, or sometimes dodgy items, depending on their income. It will be able to control which sub-items are installed in those items, either as fuses or subcomponents that give them various bonuses to that specific item. They will be able to run repair gameplay and replace broken fuses when the item stops working or takes enough damage.
Relay handling is the actual management part that you, as the engineer on the ship, have to do there. It's basically defining these circuits in the most effective way, especially for bigger ships. So a relay is something that defines which items are connected to each other, and what we want to achieve here is allowing you to create the best possible outcome for your ship.
With access control, we're introducing ship roles. The captain will be able to assign certain roles to each of his crewmates, and for example, say one of the player becomes the engineer, which gives them specific access to certain controls, while the person that is the pilot will not have access to those controls. At the same time, a gunner will only have access to a specific gun or all the guns of the ship.
And finally, gravity. So gravity is a concept that you experienced already in every ship. So there's always a ground, there's always a down, there's always an up. And we would like to give you some more control over that. So because it requires some energy, and if you want to run your ship more energy efficient, we want you to allow to switch off gravity. Or there might be other use cases where a zero gravity environment is more useful than another one.
So if it wasn't clear by now, the scope of resource management touches pretty much every aspect of life in Star Citizen. So we're doing a lot of talking, but I bet what everyone would like to know is where are we with all of this right now? Currently, we have working in-engine prototypes of the following systems: power, gravity, life support, and the relay network. With a power system, we can overpower and underpower items. We can set the priorities of item producers and consumers inside the ship, and we can set the path of resources inside the ship through the resource relay network.
And with the power system, we already can distribute the base energy and base fuel throughout the ship, so we can make sure that each item actually gets the resources they need. Creating your own resource path is basically defining the routes, or the most efficient routes that the energy or the resources have to take throughout your ship.
We can also demonstrate many aspects of the life support system, including making new players suffocate, fire expulsion, change the temperature in each room, making new players suffocate, venting and filling rooms with atmosphere, and making players suffocate again. In the last year, we've made tremendous progress with the resource management system, but with a system that is this big and complex, we do not want to rush it. We want to just get it right and get it right from the beginning. So let's talk about what's next for the resource management system.
As you can tell, resource management is a huge endeavor for us.
So like everything else, we'll probably not get everything in the initial release, but this is what we're aiming for. Interactable and accessible items on ships, relay gameplay, changing fuses on the relays, resource balancing, defining control groups that will be accessible through the NFDs, allowing people to create presets for your resource network for each ship, an engineering UI with at least a list or schematic view of your ships, external engineering screen for ships, allowing engineers to define the tuning parameters that can be accessed by the pilot with the press of a button, like loading presets and creating presets. And after the initial release, everything else will fall into place with subsequent patches. We started talking about resource management about 2 years ago. It is pretty much the evolution of what used to be the old pipe system. And this has been an interesting journey. And finally, we're starting to see the fruits of our labor. And we're starting to see all the possibilities of gameplay that we can open up to the players in the future. It's exciting to work on something that's so central to the world of Star Citizen and that can impact the gameplay of so many people, irrelevant of what they choose to do in the world of Star Citizen.
Resource management is the most exciting feature that I've ever worked with. It's such a groundbreaking feature that will change the entire game from its core. I think we never had this opportunity to change the game into this direction where we are heading right now, where we will finally have all the tools in place to actually allow meaningful multi-crew gameplay and meaningful decisions for all the players, where every decision counts. This is the stuff that makes me really proud of what we are working on right now.
Thank you for letting us share our progress with you, and we hope you're happy with all this progress, and have a nice Citizencon.
Okay. Charmy had to bug out, and so Nomad 6 has joined us. Welcome, Nomad 6. Tell us a little about yourself and how long have you been playing Star Citizen?
All right, hey everyone. Nomad 6, Mandalorian fan, so adopted the name because Mandalorians live everywhere they go. So got to move with the territory. I got to Star Citizen in 2018. Been on and off, playing with different computers, finding the right build. Finally got the right build, so hopefully you guys see me more often now. Huge fan of the game. Love how, I guess you could say, it varies day to day. Some days you're worrying about logistics, some days you're worrying about combat. I live in Connecticut. I'm 31 years old, and I don't know what other questions I need to answer. Go for it. I'm an open book.
You're all good, dude. That's more than enough.
There you go.
So, all right. Welcome to the panel. We did earlier the debrief investigations, but this one, I thought, and Joe and I were talking about this earlier, that it is a really important aspect of Star Citizen. One that people have been waiting for a long time.
Third biggest.
I'm sorry, third biggest?
Yeah, third biggest. Server meshing PES and then MS.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. So
And then multiple speeds.
yeah.
That's a fourth one.
Right. Okay, so thoughts and comments on this video. We'll start with Mike.
Actually, let's start with Cole. I'll go after Joe.
Okay, go ahead, Cole.
I think it was unique. It definitely adds some realism to the game. I was confused in that last clip they showed where he disconnected the relays. Now does that mean I can raid other people's ships when I'm in combat, or like, is, I don't really understand that one, but yeah, definitely see some glitches and some some bugs throughout the no gravity. Am I gonna fly out the ship if I turn it off? But I just want it to be perfect. But other than that, I think it's unique.
No.
Okay, so
Oh, sorry.
where? Oh, you're good, Mike. So where I see, you got to remember, your ship has different components and different power relays that go throughout, and certain things are powered by certain conduits. So, say you're losing life support in this one area of the ship. To stop it from venting into an area where it's going to just like, say there's a hull breach and it's going to go out of the ship. You can actually shut a bulkhead, okay? Shut the door, close that area off, vent that atmosphere that's already left, and still have atmosphere in the other parts of the ship. That damaged section is closed off. It's no good anymore, you know? Um it makes a big difference on your power because that area is going to be shut off. Then you take the power from that area and move it to other places to compensate, you know, build power up in the other places. So it's a give and take, because basically that's what it is. You take power from a dead section and put it towards other sections that need power. If I'm wording it correctly, Mike, what do you? I mean,
I mean, you got a good way of thinking about it. Yeah. I like to akin it to a chain link fence because it's a mesh. It's not a straight line. Your ship systems are from front to back, left to right, and the way you have to keep redundancy, and that's the big thing. And that's why when you look at those videos, you'll see a bunch of white lines going everywhere. It's basically, think about it as a cable inside the hull connecting everything to everything else. So,
yeah,
let Joe go next before I go. So
yeah. Joe, your thoughts?
Oh man, my brain is firing off when it comes to this. Mainly because this is what I'm most excited for, most scared for, because there's so much that could go wrong with this. But I mean, I look at this from a perspective as like, so I came from the Navy, so I was on naval ships, and so I was an electrician too. So I look at it as kind of what I did on a Navy ship, because it was similar to this. Whenever our ship's gone dark, lost power in the middle of the ocean, you have to go investigate. Everybody's getting up out of their racks and everybody's going and doing their job to figure out what the hell happened. And me as an electrician, I have to go down to the engine rooms, check out the generators, the load centers, the switchboards. And, in those times, once you get everything back up and running, there's going to be blown fuses. So I'm literally running around changing fuses for different compartments. And on a Navy ship, you have different levels and everything is compartmentalized. And so, kind of like what King was saying, you can close off a hatch or a scuttle, and it's completely cut off. So if there were to be like a fire, which is most likely our scenario, we surprisingly have a lot of fires on our ships. So, kind of how I think of it is, I feel like what they're doing right now is a super simple way to kind of represent that. I almost think it's too simple as far as, just grab this relay here and walk over here and put it there. Like, I feel like but I mean, that's a tricky one to kind of translate because it's so much more complicated in the real world. And, on a ship, kind of what's going on from an electrician engineer standpoint. So you have 2 engine rooms on the ships that I was on. You'll have 2 generators and 2 engines. You'll have 1 generator and 1 engine on port side, and then you'll have the other 2 on starboard side. So that way, if a fire broke out in the engine room, one of the engine rooms, you can turn those off and completely isolate that area. You can fight the fire. You can, in this case, turn off the, essentially take out all the oxygen, vent the oxygen, and it would cut out the fire. So you wouldn't have like fire stations or anything like that, or fire pumps. But yeah, you would be able to cut off that engine room completely from the fire, and that way the ship could still run on the other engine and the other generator perfectly fine, and essentially hump it back to port or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to see that happen in the future, where you kind of have to preserve a certain part of the ship, and if something happened to a certain part of the ship, you have similar, a duplicate of those items on the other side to help guide. But those would be like the capital ships, that'd be on, like the Bengal and everything. But that's what I hope to see. There's so much. I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours, but that's what I mostly get excited for. I'm really scared about it because I feel like, I don't know, a simple thing like right now, like what's going to happen when your ship you're going to be in a dogfight, most likely, when you take on damage. And people can't just be roaming around the ship. Everybody's going to be falling over.
Yeah.
Nobody can be standing up while the ship is moving unless you're moving in a straight line.
Right.
You can't. You just can't. So how are they going to... I mean, if you turn on, or if you turn off gravity, then maybe you could do it. But is that... You're going to be traveling around with no gravity all the time? I mean, it's not... In some situations, you don't want that.
Right.
Can't really live like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're going to do in that situation. It's, but and then the bugs. I'm worried about when they're going to put this out, because I feel like before they put this out, the game needs to be in a lot better condition than it is now.
Yeah.
And because what's going to happen if a relay is bugged? Multiple relays are bugged. They're just not showing up. They just disappear, or they show as inactive. Or same thing with the fuses, or
well,
some of the components, when components start actually mattering.
It's time to call in the SRV, bring them home.
Yeah, SRV for every bug. Every ship has a bug. Every org is gonna have 1 million SRVs.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
hey, Snowbirds do it. That's the one ship I got to get is the SRV. But anyway, okay. Nomad, what do you got to say about this?
Well, I didn't know I had a Navy guy in here. All right, I'm a combat engineer in the military, so I worry about counter mobility, and counter movement. So I love this. I also was an electrician on the sub. Thank you for your service, by the way. And I will say that he hit some good points there. I was going to chime in, but I was waiting, hold all questions to the end about the whole turning off gravity and floating around. It does seem like it'd be chaotic. Bug issue is what I was thinking about the whole time. And I'm excited for it. I mean, I got it. There's glitches, there's bugs with everything, but let's see it as a fun aspect. You know how cool it's going to be to raid someone's ship without them knowing, and then just having them choke on air? Like, I think it's going to be cool. Counter mobility wise, like, what if I just turn off their engines? Like, everyone's only worried about oxygen and all that. What if I just disconnect the relay to your engines? You run out, I shut off your fuel valves or something. I hope they bring that into the game too. Now I got a stationary ship. I don't care about your shields. We'll take it down eventually because guess what? I'm going to be running around with a relay, and if I'm smart, I'm going to drop it somewhere random in case you do kill me, so you can't get it off my body. So I was already planning on crazy stuff like that. Bringing ships to pull us every time there's a bug, yeah, that's a little crazy. But I bought a Starfarer, and it wasn't doing its part today when I tried to refuel somebody who was on a crime stat 5 and needed fuel. So I can see how this could get aggravating.
Yeah,
So
right.
I don't know.
I have one thing to add, real quick, just
Yeah,
real
Go
quick.
for it.
Good.
Go for it.
As far as who's going to have access to, not everybody's going to have access to the relays and the fuses. So the captain, they said in the video, kind of very sparsely, everybody, like the captain is going to be the one to give that access to a certain person.
Yeah.
He's going to have like a list of people. So I don't know how they're going to translate that to somebody breaching a ship and getting access to that. I don't know. Maybe you're going to have a device that gives you access. It's part of hacking gameplay.
Hacking.
I can see that, but like everything else, you're not supposed to have access to ships, and you could punch a door open after a while. You could cut a door open after a while. So I could see that being a thing. Like I have to use my mine tool with a cutter torch attachment to cut into your box. I can see that being a thing. And I don't know, given permissions, we all know how permissions work. They don't work most of the time. So we'll see. I mean, it's definitely a fun aspect to look at. But they kept saying that, and I thank you for hitting on that. So if, let's say, Shadow was to give you access, Void, and Cole and I are the ones, as the video showed, supposedly a saboteur is on the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the rest of the video. They just said the saboteur was somewhere on the ship. So it's like, I think anyone will
Among
have
Us.
access to it. Yeah, anyone amongst us. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, I don't know. It's kind of cool, but I just hope it works both ways. Like I'm not part of the crew. I'm a stowaway or something. I could do it to you, but I think it'd be cool if like someone tries to raid us and then we turn around like, all right, we lock them in the middle of the ship, decompartmentize, suffocate them. Now, does it work with the hull being damaged as well? Will it create a vacuum and force the air out? I didn't see any of that covered. That's where I'm mainly interested.
Well,
Yeah.
that's going to be a thing. I look at it like this. When they start showing damage on the ship with salvage showing what it's being utilized as at this point in time, when a ship crashes and you see holes and stuff like that and you can repair it, you're going to have hull breaches. If they do it right, you're going to have hull breaches. And in a small ship, your oxygen is gone in a heartbeat. So you're going to be wearing a helmet and everything like that. But on a larger ship, there's times you're going to get out of that suit and you're going to chill, and then all of a sudden you're getting attacked. Then next thing you know, you got a hull breach. That oxygen is gone in that compartment.
Never taking it off.
Right?
I will die in that suit.
You don't take it off now. You don't take it off in the future.
I second that. That's gonna be another thing. Like, all right, that was my answer to the situation. Why they have no helmets? Like,
yeah. But you see where I'm coming from on that. You know, it's with damage to the ship, you're gonna have hull breaches. So this is where if you have that tool on you, you can actually fix the hull breach inside the ship. If it's going to work like that. Now that's where your damage control is going to come in. Yeah. So it's going to come, but in this first iteration, this tier 0 of it, I don't see that coming. Not until later.
Well, I'm gonna hop in now and start talking about this a little bit because this also excited me a lot too.
Yes, it did.
I am very focused on this stuff because this system alone doesn't do just ship systems too.
Right.
This system alone will allow
bases,
player bases, start space stations, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's really a system to, like he said at the beginning of the video, is resource management. That's the important take away,
Mhm.
resource management. So to kind of go along lines of like the whole saboteur thing, there is hacking gameplay coming into place. Now we have seen in other games where you can take a tool and stick it next to something, hack it, open it up, saboteur it, close it, and walk away. There's that, and we won't see that until hacking comes in. Who knows when that's coming in? Ships are going to have an atmosphere inside, as well as gravity wells, what they call it in game term development terms.
Yeah.
Basically, you apply on the walking mesh. There's a ground mesh on every surface you walk on. It's got a collision mesh and a ground mesh, and when your character touches it, it's supposed to activate certain properties. Think of gravity as gravity's attraction. So basically, your character's feet are attracted to the floor to where you can walk on it.
Yes.
So this leads to a second major problem that Joe pointed out was the inertia. So as bright as it is right now, if I'm standing up in a Carrack and I turn left, my character does this, just on the side, because of the velocity, because of knee-jerk reactions. And this is testable. You can go multiple speeds and you jerk around in a multiple ways depending on how fast and hard you're flying and how hard you turn. Ships
Completely
in space
disables your crew.
Yeah, everybody gets knocked over. You can't have security walking around. You can't have engineers walking around because, and going to 0G doesn't make sense because if you're in 0G, no matter what's around you, you're staying still. This is moving around you.
Yes.
So what happens when the ship backs up and you're in 0G? Whack. You smack your face.
Not only that, you're going to get dizzy.
Yeah.
Just from the ships being spun around so much in a dogfight, you're going to just get dizzy. You're not going to know where you're at no more.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, here's how this has to work. This is how it's going to have to work, and I can see this coming a mile away. Your server meshing has to be in, period.
Yes.
Your PES has to be in, period. If it's not, we're running with all the bugs and problems we have now, just like the guys had pointed out. What happens when a relay is bugged out and you can't open the door and your ship's on fire, and your pets' heads are falling off, you can't get anything together to fix the ship, and now all of a sudden you're SOL, you get frustrated and leave. That's the big problems I'm seeing coming in. Bugs like that. Like I think Joe, you pointed that out, but
well, the ship's gonna go boom.
Ship's eventually gonna go boom.
Yeah.
But another thing to bring up is, again, multiple relays to fix one problem exists. Like if you look at the Hammerhead, there was a Star Citizen, I think in June, July, where they were talking about this. They had a map. Oh, they also had it in the Hall A too. They had a map of all the systems that followed down the path of the ship. And not only were they connected vertically, but horizontally as well. And if your one room is killed, if it was a single daisy chain, that means everything on following that was killed. Now you got to reroute power around.
Yeah.
So, is there a possibility that some of those bugs? Sorry, I saw Cole's camera fall.
Yeah, I did too. You all right, Cole?
Yeah.
You're good, man. We can't hear you because your mic. You're good. You're good, Cole.
But
no worries.
It's all good, man. But yeah, from a design perspective, this is a really good thing that's going to make a lot of nice things happen. I hate the fact that they said this is a communication problem CIG has. I hate the fact that they said this will allow larger ships like the Idrises. This needs to be better stated that this, in conjunction with PES and server meshing, will allow for the larger capital ships.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's just kind of a thing that I think constructive criticism here. They need to get better at communicating things.
Agreed.
But that's thing becoming like theater conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it makes a very valid point.
There you go, system.
I have one thing to add, which it's something that I think they should add, but I feel like it would take away from some of the uh, multi-crew aspects as far as or engineering. I just remembered on ships what we have when a certain part of the ship, the power goes down. We have these things called ABTs, the automatic bus transfers, and whenever it loses power, it automatically switches to a different circuit, and so it brings back the. So what it does is switches from one generator, like I was saying, how you have two generators, one on each side. One generator that's affected, it'll switch to the backup generator.
Yeah,
To give power to the
redundancy.
ship. And I feel like they should have something like that where you not necessarily need a crew member to go and do it manually, but
Or immediately.
also you have a thing called manual bus transfers, which is obvious what it is. Manually go do it yourself, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's a redundancy for a larger ship.
Hmm.
You know, a smaller ship like, say,
Freelancer.
Freelancer, MSR, something like that. You're going to have one generator. You're not going to have two. You know, that's just me thinking like that. And
You have power plants. That's it. A little tiny box that's in a compartment.
right,
Yeah.
Underneath the left wing.
yeah,
Well, you're gonna start having to carry extra components on your ship.
yeah,
When
Yeah.
something goes down, you're gonna have to, because I don't think you're gonna be able to repair it. You're probably gonna have to bring it back to a station or a repair station.
Well,
Well,
But
go
well,
ahead.
you seen in the video, the guy opened up the compartment and the thing popped out. They already have that in the game when he just pulled out his fucking multi tool. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. He pulled out his multi tool and start repairing it.
oh, is that what he
So
was doing?
yeah,
I think I missed that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, you could do that, but also Joe brings up a good point. Your larger ships, so it's a split between Cole and Joe on this. On your bigger ships, your big boys, you're going to want backup components because if you're in a combat scenario, you want to just replace and get it back running. You don't want to sit there and take the time to repair. You want to get it up and running fast.
yes,
But that's your big boys, right?
yeah,
But your smaller ships, let's say your Scorpiuses or your, your light fighters, those components, there's no way you're repairing them while you're in mid combat, right?
no,
You're encapsulated in a little tiny compartment. You're not doing
Call in the
anything.
crucible.
Yeah,
You call in a crucible. That's what you do.
yeah.
exactly.
Just like when Mike and I were out on the mole and the power plant blew out. We couldn't go anywhere. If we had a
Another power
component,
plant.
we could have done it. We could have got in, could put it in, and gone on our way. But
That's crazy.
we didn't have it, and that's where the SRV would have came in and towed us back. I mean, it's there, you know, but if you don't have anybody out there to help you, you're stuck, and you have to do the big biscuit backspace. But hey, what can I tell
Well,
you?
you
That's
know,
not going to be a
well,
thing soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're getting rid of that. Yeah, yeah,
Actually, think about another thing on Joe. You mentioned well, the whole, everybody falling over thing. Star Trek had this inertia dampeners. Basically, it was just a component that would stop inertia outside the ship, affecting things inside the ship. So
Yes.
they could do a component like that and probably gamify it basically. And that would be another interesting thing. Somebody could saboteur that, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh crap!"
like right, right. So
I would have never thought that. I haven't watched Star Trek enough to know that, but
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool that they thought of that in Star Trek.
yeah, they have
Star Trek
inertia.
did a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, they have inertial dampeners. Yeah. So, okay, are we good with this topic?
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Alrighty. Okay, let's go. Let's head to the next one, and I'm thinking there's one that I just gotta see, and I want some consensus on this one. The Lorville redo. I think this is a good one to look at.
Sure. Yeah.
It was beautiful, and it just gave me chills being able to look at it. So I'm gonna set it up. Okay, here we go.
Hello, my name's Ian Leyland and I'm the art director for Star Citizen, and today we're going to talk about an internal initiative called Lorville 2.0. Now with Lorville, and specifically the Lorville cityscape, it was probably the first major landing zone we'd ever had to do. It was the first time we put a landing zone on a planet and we had the player fly there with minimal restrictions, although it did have that really big no-fly zone. But when we did subsequent landing zones, we built up a bit more of a knowledge base and experience base about how we can effectively introduce cityscapes. So Area 18, New Babbage, Horizon, we all developed more techniques, and we always wanted to go back internally and put that knowledge back into Lorville. To start us off, I'll throw it over to Eric, our principal concept artist, and he can show you some more.
Hi, my name is Eric Gagnon. I'm a principal concept artist for Star Citizen and Turbulent in Montreal, and I'm here to talking about the Lorville 2.0. When I started to work on the concept, initially what I did is to create a variety of sketches, black and white sketches of a different approach of that city. We create a side panel of a silhouette of the building. Mainly the reason we need to work on that is for mainly gameplay issues, because we would like to make a gameplay in interior buildings, and we need to create a bigger city to let the player have a fun experience to flying through that. Yeah, so after the sketching process and get some approval, I need to know very well the footprint of that city. We build a city from a human scale, you know. We have nothing in that city, they build in a gray zone. So everything is built from that unit, and it's built from the unit of the CBD. So this is mainly the two main units I used to build a city. So we have a kind of a proportion in terms of lengths and distances to respect. So this is why I used the 3D basis to working on that. So I need to make sure that the ratio of everything fits well to approach closely as possible. So mainly the goal is not to dig right away on the details, but it's to stay on the big picture and to see if the skyline makes sense. So this is a good challenge to play with that, and I think I did a nice job on that, because at the end, what the feeling we have, it's like a real city. So I use my 2D background in concept artist to make the best as possible concept art with all the techniques inside of it, 3D, pen over, sketching, painting, and at the end, I was needed to create a very speechless concept to sell the mandate to the people involved in that, and they make sure they believe on that project, and they could say, well, okay, now we are a Lorville 2.0, and we're ready to moving on that.
Thanks, Eric. There's some beautiful image there, and we had a lot of fun internally developing that cityscape. Now, we're not just in concept development. We've actually just passed our white box milestone internally, so we're going to jump over to Max, and he's going to show you where we're at.
Bonjour, mon nom est Maxime Guindon. Je suis chef environnement artiste sur le projet Star Citizen. Mon mandat en ce moment est Lorville 2.0. Premièrement, je voudrais dire bonjour à la communauté francophone de Star Citizen, à toute la communauté en fait. Ce que vous faites, ce que vous partagez m'inspire énormément dans mon travail. From the concepts done was time to start an engine, and we've had to evaluate what was possible to do and to extend or to make it much bigger than the initial Lorville City, up to something that matches the ambition. For instance, we are keeping the L19 area, we are keeping the CBD, we're keeping the spaceport, and we're building upon this and just extending the city. We've done several tests with the transit system, the rails, and we try to extend it out a bit. We're keeping the same number of gates, but we're moving them out. And so throughout these tests, we've built the city as just placeholder, white box, very primitive, to have this layout, this fast iteration of the whole city done, and then that we could see it and get feedback on it. So it will feel more like a believable city. We hope it to be fun to fly around and like to actually do some races in it. We're building arches, bridges, and like underpasses, and it makes it interesting to be able to fly around. We see the community of players. They're doing like emergent gameplay of races, and that inspires us. And then the way that we're building the city. We are starting now the gray box. We have like Montreal's tools teams now that are working on like Houdini tools, and we're chatting with them, see what we could use from the library of tools. There will be several areas of like a higher level of detail, especially around landing pads on rooftops and lookout areas. And these are the places where the players will be able to land. These will eventually connect to the interior spaces that will be built later. And in that sense, Lorville will be ready for those interiors. We started as a team of 2 artists working on Lorville, and now we're 5. And we could even be like more soon. Each artist has slightly different skill sets, and we complete each other. They bring ideas. I let them bring ideas to the table on how to advance what we're doing, make it kick-ass. So that's really important. So I hope you'll like what you see, and we can't wait to show you more. I'm happy about the opportunity of working on this mandate, because it's gonna make such a huge difference.
Thanks, Max. That's looking great. And hopefully you guys can kind of see, even in a white boxing format, we're seeing really good scale reads and understanding about how we can make the cityscape of Lorville probably one of our best yet. And we'll be showing more soon. Thanks for letting us showcase that for you today. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay. Thoughts and opinions on Lorville. Hey, Fire. Hey, Crazy. Welcome.
Hello.
We'll start with Cole on this one. So Cole,
Um, honestly, I don't have much on this. I don't have anything actually.
oh
uh,
dude,
I don't have anything. I don't have anything.
He hates Lorville.
I don't have anything on this. I want to see it's a graphic update. I mean, Star Citizen is it's amazing in itself. So I mean, some more graphics. So
okay,
cool.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that because I started out in Lorville and I was running low graphics at the time, and it was so
Okay.
choppy. I didn't know, and it was so choppy for me that I said, "I'm getting out of here." And I went to Microtech, and it was even worse until somebody told me to push everything up to the max, and that made a big difference. So yeah,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. I am glad it's getting a bit of a redo. They can take their time on this, to be honest with you. It's not something that I want to see it, but it's not something I'm expecting to see anytime soon. You know, take your time, make it look good. I mean, Star Citizen's visuals are pretty much, bar none, some of the best I've seen in any video game. But I like the idea that they're opening it up to flying through again. And it does need to be huge. That if you read any of the lore on the Hurston family, they're I won't say bigger than life, but I will say egotistical.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
That's
Joe.
Yeah, it's well needed. I think this and Area 18 next, maybe after Lorville. The only other ones that don't need an update is New Babbage and Orison. And
Or Grim.
something I want to see with the update to Lorville after it comes out is a gameplay associated with it, like events like they're doing with Orison. I think it'd be great to be on foot in the middle of Lorville and do some FPS missions. I saw a lot of landing pads kind of around there, kind of even like in the recessed areas. Kind of gives me like I keep wanting to think of that canceled Star Wars game where you go on the underground. What was it, like 13 something?
13. Yeah.
Yeah, where they go down and like I
Yeah.
kind of want that a little bit with Lorville. Not so much where there's a big underground area, but that would be cool too. But yeah, I want to see more gameplay and missions and events tied to even on New Babbage. I think New Babbage can kind of support it a little bit. But yeah, other than that, like this one got me excited because I right now I'm going to school for animation and VFX, and I spotted they're using a program that I'm learning right now, getting in, like just understanding and grasping the program. It's Substance 3D Painter, and it's essentially that's how they're texturing, putting in all the details into the buildings and stuff. And right now I'm loving the program, so it's kind of cool to see them use it. I didn't know they use it that much in the game industry. But yeah, that was...
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's everywhere.
All right.
Substance Painter is one of the best things you can get.
Yeah, I'm realizing that now. Yeah.
All right. To our newcomers, Crazy and Fire. Fire, if you're there, what do you think about the Lorville redo and what you've seen so far?
On the 20 or 30 seconds that I saw, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So, having being able to fly into Lorville a little more than kicking you out all the time is definitely going to be something to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like the others were saying, events around this would be excellent. Going down into Lorville and actually exploring down there, and like a cave system or something, or technical, just having buildings that you can access instead of just having something on the surface.
Agreed. So, Fire, Go ahead, crazy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's kind of a start to the NPCs being able to go from place to place, so it gives them spots to actually deliver stuff. It'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They need to work on Pyro.
Yeah. Okay. And Nomad, your thoughts?
As it was stated, I like the idea. I want to be able to do missions on Lorville. I want to be able to, meet somebody in Lorville and be like, hey, I need help on this mission. It's in this alleyway. There's some bad guys.
Right.
I need some cover fire or something. Or you know how cool it'd be? Like, we're just minding our business, running to stall to buy something, and then a shootout breaks out because Ninetales is in there trying to do something, wreak some havoc. I think it's needed because...
Or look at it like this. Lorville's so oppressed that they have a rebellion.
That's what I was going to get at. I was like, what if you have like a little Star Wars rebels fighting against the Empire thing going on?
Because, I mean, that's why they banned weapons on the planet. So,
yeah, because they're the slave capital. But
right.
Listen, I think it'd be cool. I also think it's a good way to draw people back to the main cities because everyone's out at Everest because they don't like the loading in, the multiple train rides to go somewhere. So, same thing with, what is it? Area 18. People love it, but they're only there because it's one train ride. But they'd rather be in the outside stations because of that. There's nothing for them to really do in the cities unless it's buying parts and getting out.
Yeah. Well, our corp needs more landing areas than just Area 18. They've got all these different areas you can go to, but you can't do anything in them.
The whole planet looks like it's been cultivized. Like the whole it's all infrastructure around the whole planet, so like it should be doable.
Right. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I think it's going to be awesome when they do get it in there, but it's not a major priority to me. PES, server meshing, and Pyro. Those are the main things that I really want to see come to fruition. So, one step at a time. Anybody?
I agree. I agree 100%. But that's like telling them to stick to a schedule. That's not likely. They're gonna work on everything at once and jump around.
I also want them to change all the work that needs to go into it. I thought they're supposed to come out with like some tool to build planets. We're supposed to have like 100 systems. And at this rate, we're never going to have that if they keep dragging whatever they're doing. I'd rather them work on the tools to actually solve that part of it, so we can have more places to go. Actually, use the quantum and whatever that other the hyper jump where we go in the wormholes or whatever.
Fair
more
enough.
Places.
Fair.
That is their priority right now, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because they need that for Squadron 42, and it's going to go there and then come here.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the next systems that's out, right? Is whatever the place is.
Pyro.
Nix. Yeah.
Oh, Nix.
Okay. So, are we cool with this video? Because there's one that I got to get to today, and that is the Crusader ships. Oh, I'm in love. I'm in love.
Did someone say sold?
How do you spell sold? C-R-U-S.
I saw a meme. It was like, all right, you did it again, Robert Space Industries. You took my wallet. So
Right.
Just threw the wallet at the screen.
Shut up and take my money.
Okay.
At least they didn't mess up this series of ships.
Yeah.
It was a,
Yeah. So let me transition to that one real quick.
Who already has it?
Yeah. After the video, we need to find out who bought what. Like, how many of what ships.
Oh, you're hurting me, man. You're hurting me. Okay, here we go. Let me get this one up and set that up. And here we go. Ship talk.
Hi everyone, my name is John Crew. I'm the Vehicle Director here at Cloud Imperium Games. This year I'm once again joined by Ben Curtis, Vehicle Art Director, and Paul Jones, Concept Art Director, and this is our yearly Ship Talk panel. Like previous years, we'll be talking about something coming soon, something being announced today, something coming a bit later, and then the fan favourite, the Pick a Ship or Vehicle concept series. To kick things off this year, we're going to be talking about our new concept ship, which is the Crusader Spirit. This is a series of ships from Crusader Industries that is designed to take on a variety of other manufacturers' ships at the two-person crew level and does a wide variety of tasks depending on which variant you pick. The two standout competitors to this ship are naturally the Cutlass and obviously the Cutlass Blue, Red, Steel, and the Freelancer series. Those are all similar sized ships to this, and they also cover similar sort of roles. Compared to the Cutlass and Freelancer series, the Spirit benefits from not only Crusader Industries' sort of stylish physical appearance, but also their renowned speed and agility over those other variants. We have three variants of the Crusader Spirit. We have the C1, which is the cargo hauler version. We have the A1, which is the light to sort of medium bomber version. And then we have the E1, which is the executive VIP transport version.
One of the really nice features of the Spirit series as a whole is the front half of the ship is kind of like this shared area, and it's the rear section that swaps out.
So the C1 is the cargo hauler version. This comes with 48 SCU of cargo capacity in the central area, accessible like the other versions via the rear ramp. It's wide enough to allow a variety of ground-based vehicles on board, such as the Cyclone. You won't be fitting larger things in it like the tank. However, with the size of the cargo bay on the C1, you can put a vehicle and still have some cargo capacity left over. The A1 is the bomber version of the Spirit, which sort of splits the difference between the Hercules A2's bomber version, which has both size 10 and size 3 bomb options. This comes with size 5 bombs. They are arranged in two vertical gravity dropped formations down each side of the central area. So you have a nice little walkway down the middle, and then you have the two sort of lines of bombs each side of you, and you'll be able to see them drop out of the bottom of the ship.
It delivers a different role to what the Starlifter does in terms of the bomber. I think it's a much kind of smaller, faster ship, so it's much more agile. You're going to be kind of getting in and out and doing your bombing run and then getting back out of the danger zone quite quickly. So it feels quite familiar in that sense, but it does deliver a unique kind of play style compared to the Starlifter.
So you might be asking yourself which one's better, and it really depends on what you want to wipe off the face of the planet that you're bombing. Obviously the A2 has both heavy hitters and what could be described as carpet bombing, whereas this is sort of for when you don't want to completely annihilate everything on the ground. And lastly, we have the E1 variant, which solely exists to give Jared Hartburn over his Starliner. So this is a sort of taste of what the Starliner will get in the future, but on a much smaller scale.
VIP1 is a really interesting module. It's basically split into two levels. And so, we really wanted to sort of have that VIP experience. Obviously, you're coming into a sort of multi-role ship, but when you get into the module, you've got lockers, space to put any sort of personal belongings. Essentially, you go into two elevators, left or right, and take you up to the top deck. So it has that sort of first-class feeling.
I think what really makes the E1 stand out compared to some of our other ships is the kind of the large panoramic glass roof. So when you're in this kind of shared VIP area, you're going to have great views and be able to kind of like explore the berths in something that I think is going to be quite unique.
And we also have the Mixmaster, which is at the front of the module, which is basically where players can go and choose whatever the drink it is. So it's cocktails or coffee. And then players will also have super comfy seats. They'll have the widescreen TV in the module.
I'm really excited to see when we start getting our players and our AIs into these ships and being able to kind of explore the verse and experience that kind of luxury living that I've not yet to experience.
So between the three variants, there are a number of shared areas. The sort of core of the ship changes with each variant, but there are some aspects which don't need to change. And starting from the front of the ship, you naturally have the cockpit or the bridge. So like other Crusader ships, you have the side-by-side pilot to co-pilot arrangement. Then you have behind them their living quarters slash bunk area and component access. And then you have the variant section, which does change the sort of internal floor plan of the ships between them. Then at the rear of the ship, you naturally have the ramp access area. So that's the Crusader Spirit. We hope you look forward to seeing this and seeing what it can do in the game in the future.
Can't wait.
From something at the very start of our vehicle production pipeline to something nearing the end of the pipeline, let's talk about the Drake Corsair next. The Drake Corsair is an important ship in their lineup because it fills that multi-crew exploration gap in their lineup. We've seen a lot of Drake ships of various usage and roles, such as the Buccaneer and Cutlass. In this size class, you naturally have the Constellation, the 600i as the competitors, and what Drake brings is its usual rugged, overwhelming amount of firepower for its size, sort of classification to that entry.
It's Drake's dedicated exploration ship. It's a kind of a medium, deep space vessel effectively. It's got a crew for up to 4, or space for up to 4 crew. It's got a sizable cargo hold, and it's kind of got everything that you need to really spend a decent amount of time away from civilization, away from stations, and just kind of being able to chart out those deep areas of space. It brings that sort of no nonsense, no frills approach to the ship, and you know if something's going to go wrong, it's going to be something that you more than likely can fix, and it's not going to be something that you have to cut back to a main dealer to get serviced and fixed. It's something that hopefully you and your crew will be able to kind of repair and get back on running, or just fix with some duct tape.
So fans, when they see the ship, will immediately see the sort of heritage, the DNA that's running through the Spirit. So you can kind of almost imagine how the ship is built. It's got that military, easy fix kind of feel. It's loaded with guns, loaded with turrets. It has some really interesting mechanisms inside it, so I think players will really dig that.
I think what's quite unique to the Corsair is wings, the way they fold up. This isn't done purely for style. Being Drake, it's more there for function. It allows you to get in and out of the hangars much easier. We put quite a lot of effort into keeping that really iconic exterior kind of silhouette and vision that we set, but still making it functional and making sure it works. At the moment, we're just kind of finishing up on final art. Most of the exterior has had the majority of its core art time spent on it. We've still got lighting to do. We've still got kind of like final finishing to do, tweak some of the materials till we're kind of properly happy. But it's in a good place, so I'm really excited to be able to show you.
So let's take a look inside the ship, and once again we'll go front to back.
On the inside of the ship, we start right at the front on the cockpit. The Corsair has quite a unique feel to its cockpit in that the pilot is kind of sat right up front, and then kind of classic kind of Drake stylings, the co-pilot gets in the seat behind them and actually sinks down into the floor. That transition from the main cockpit area into that kind of co-pilot kind of section, you move right forward and you're sat pretty much underneath where the pilot is. It gives great visibility for both the pilot and the co-pilot. The other nice thing about this cockpit is, again, you've got these massive guns that are stuck out either side of you. So it should be a nice place to be. In the rear of the cockpit, we've got the captain's quarters. So the captain's quarters is actually pretty much identical to the rest of the quarters in the ship in terms of its kind of size and its amenities. As you move back through the ship, there's I guess a small kind of crossroads directly behind the bridge. From here, you can either progress backwards straight into habitation, or to either side, you've got the turret access. So it's right really at the kind of like the neck of the ship, effectively.
The side turrets have changed a little since the concept phase. They now have a greater range of motion in sort of the yaw axis. We're quite limited at concept stage to about 45 degrees. Each way, you're now looking at 90 degrees pretty much each way, so it's a lot more effective, especially forward firing, which, again, the Corsair has so many guns pointing forwards. Having an extra 2 turrets is very, very Drake. In habitation, we've got, you've got the remaining 3 crew quarters that, being Drake, they are no frills. You've got a bed, you've got somewhere to store your gear, and that's pretty much it.
The main habitation area, though, is, if anything, quite luxurious for a Drake ship, in that there's a decent sized space. You've got your bathroom, which is no frills. It's got a shower, it's got a toilet, whatever. You've got the kind of chow line for all your food and everything you need to survive. And then right in the heart of the habitation area, there's a large kind of sizable seating area, and that's not just for the crew to have their meals. It's for somewhere that you can plan operations, plan your next move, and really decide where you're taking your adventure. As we move back from habitation, we start to get into like the rear half of the ship. I think if the habitation area is like the heart of the crew in the ship, then the engineering area is the real heart of the ship itself.
It's sort of this octagonal, hexagonal space with a few little rooms coming off it to cram components in. And off one of those you have the side airlock, which again has suit lockers and weapon lockers in there for before you go into EVA or docking or coming back out of, before you enter the rest of the ship.
And then you've also got the lift, and the lift not only goes down to ground level, but it also takes you up to the roof of the ship. So if you do want to go on a quick spacewalk, or you need to go and repair something on the exterior, then you've got kind of easy access straight up the lift and out you go.
Then finally at the rear you have the main cargo hold, which has space for an Ursa rover or similar sized vehicles and down, along with a significant cargo capacity.
And being a Drake ship, there's a huge ramp on the back of it. All the mechanics are exposed. You can really see the workings of how the ship actually operates. If you're a fan of Drake, it certainly ticks all those boxes.
So I think the Corsair is a particularly cool ship. I love the styling of it, love the asymmetric wing arrangement of it. I think it's just going to be a great, fun addition to the game, giving those sort of players who enjoy that Drake experience their slice of the pie. And you'll be able to experience that yourselves at IAE this year. And a vehicle coming later today, a vehicle that's at the end of the pipeline, we have the Greycat STV. Racing is a cool and fun aspect of Star Citizen, and it's something that we've seen that backers really enjoy doing and organising amongst themselves, and something that we really want to help support from within CIG. So we wanted to bring a new vehicle to the verse, which is where the STV came from.
So the STV is the Greycat sports terrain vehicle. It builds on what they learned from the PTV, but it brings it out of the hangars, off of the tarmac, and onto much more rugged terrain.
It's a four-wheeler, two-person open-topped, sport styling, everything you need to razz around on the planets. So the STV is actually part of a wider family of vehicles. You may recognise a resemblance in the name to the Greycat PTV, which is also part of that family. And we also have a third vehicle lined up that we want to do in the future called the UTV, which is the utility terrain vehicle. And we've actually reconcepted the PTV, and we have the concept for the UTV. And when you see all three side by side, you'll see that family resemblance.
The interior again is similar, design language, simple layout, easy to clean. That was a big thing for us, even though we don't have like a cleaning mechanic. All this sort of builds into the sort of visuals of the vehicle. So, the floors have got drill holes in them, so it can easily let water through. The seats are easily removable, so you can actually see the bolts where you can just quickly whip them out. And so all of this thinking goes into those kind of vehicles. The wheels are a big feature, large sort of rubber mud guards. Just there's lots of subtleties. In terms of the roll cage, the sort of cross section of all these things. Maybe people wouldn't notice, but for us, these are all part of making a manufacturer consistent.
So the STV delivers that gameplay that is you and a buddy out exploring over our planets. We've got these vast ships that you can explore deep space and go off with big multi-crews. But what this really allows you to do is get down on one of our many planets and go exploring on the ground. It's not just a vehicle for you and a friend, it's also got kind of some cargo space in the back, so if you are out there doing missions, rather than having to fly your ships directly to where the mission is, it allows you to land slightly out there, slightly in a safer area. You've still got space to load up with weapons, load up with your whatever mission items you need, and get in and out nice and quick.
Compared to the Cyclone RC, which is a sort of racing variant of a non-racing vehicle, the STV was built from the ground up to be a good racing vehicle. It has a good chassis, it has better handling, it has better top speed, and that's what makes it a compelling racing choice.
The best things about Star Citizen as a whole is it kind of brings a lot of gameplay, and it's not all about combat. It's not all about flying these massive ships. And I think one of the things that a lot of us are excited internally about is racing within our game. A lot of us come from a racing background in terms of the games we've developed before. A lot of us are petrol heads at heart. So I think being able to build on that kind of gameplay in Star Citizen is super exciting for us.
And if you stick around to the end of the broadcast, you'll get your first chance at seeing the STV in action in a race organised by Atmo Esports, creators of the Daymar Rally, where you'll see it taking on the terrain for the first time. You'll be able to pick one of these vehicles up today at the end of the broadcast. And finally, the most important aspect of these inaugural shows, the Pick a Ship concept challenge thing. For those of you that have seen previous years, you will have seen that we've thrown up some silhouettes of potential ship and vehicle options and asked for your feedback on which one we should actually make. And the wise among you have probably realised that we end up making pretty much all of them anyway. So instead of just doing that again and pretending that we're not going to do that, we thought we'd do something slightly different this year and just have a single ship option. And the choice is actually the manufacturer and the styling of that ship. So we want to do a nice large civilian mining ship that bridges the gap between the Argo Mole and the RSI Orion, because if you know those two ships, there is quite a gulf of space in between them. We wanted to fill that gap with an intermediary stepping stone before you jump into the big RSI Orion, which the scale of its mining is nothing like any other mining ship in the game. The Mole is the current mining system, just lots of it. So with this larger ship, we want to increase that and also provide onboard space for our ground mining vehicles such as the Rock and the Rock DS, which allows you the flexibility of taking on any mining situation that you can come across. So with that, we have three choices, which are basically the manufacturers. We have RSI as the first choice. So obviously RSI do the Orion, so this would be a smaller vehicle in that family. We have Argo, again, we have the Mole, so naturally it could be a larger step up from that. And then we have MISC, the third option. Obviously MISC do the Prospector, so again, keeping it all within the same family. As you can see from these images, they each have their sort of own unique styling take on that pitch that I've just given. At the end of this Ship Talk panel, Jared will come on and explain how you get to vote on these three options. And that's the end of Talking Ship, so over to you, Jared.
Okay. We're at the end of that one, and this is going to be the last panel for this show. So, thoughts. I am in love with the Spirit. I'm just going to say it. That Spirit is a sweet ship.
Which one did you get?
Oh, I got the C1. Mainly because I'm a cargo transport pilot, and what really attracted me to that ship was the tractor beam on the rear. It's gonna definitely help with pulling stuff out of the reclaimer, big time. And then the next one I will probably get is the E1, because I'm going to be doing transport of people and NPCs and things of that nature. So that's my next one. Now, I already have an A2, but I definitely am going to get an A1 eventually, because hell, I got to do a little battle too. So there you go. So next person up, Mike.
Yeah, there's a lot to absorb. It doesn't seem like it, but there's actually a lot to absorb from that video. I melted my Caterpillar, and this is how I nickel and dime CIG all the time. Well, more like they nickel and dime me. So I ended up getting tokens for the Vulture, C1 and A1. So I got those token and token for. I got them, but they're not available yet. They're still in concept phase. I like Crusader. Crusader is my favorite line of ships. They're very elegant looking. I think that they have great design languages and stuff like that. I think there are decisions that they should have done better in some of them. So I always live by the philosophy of when you love something, you have to point out its flaws in order to truly appreciate what you're looking at, right? Yeah. Crusader has a notorious problem for their headlights. Yeah. I hope that the Spirit does not have that problem.
Right.
Your little philosophy. I'd like to see you do that to your girlfriend.
I don't have a girlfriend. Yeah. But it's my girlfriend. So, I love the concept of I love the concept of Spirit because it's not a combat ship by default, right?
Yes.
It's a chassis. The Spirit is a chassis that you fit to your needs. There's not a direct combat ship in these lines. Right. The Drake Cutlass is technically a combat ship, if I'm not mistaken, by design. It's designed to be fighting. For example, we got the Cutlass Blue, which is a police vehicle, which is again combat oriented, meant to shut down ships from flying away. Freelancers are generally kind of this hybrid freighter / combat situation going on with it, but the Crusader C1 it's cargo. It's like, okay, we're cargo here, and I love the fact that they're sticking with their guns on that. Like they're saying, we're doing this.
Yes.
And the E1. Now, interestingly enough, if you guys remember back in ISC a little bit ago, they said that we don't want to release ships that we don't have gameplay for.
Right.
So the question is if they're releasing an E1 around the time that, say, the C1 or the A1 drops, does that mean that passenger gameplay is not far behind?
Agreed.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
That'll be tier 0 transport missions.
Yeah.
With that ship before anything else.
Yeah.
Will it be the line of cultists that stand on chairs that you transport?
Could be.
Yeah. Definitely. So the other thing to bring up on that is that I love the Spirit. I think it's a fantastic idea. I am all aboard with it. Depends. We'll see how long it takes me to hold on to mine. If one of my other ships that like my Hull C comes out, like I'm melting something to get to my Hull C. So
agreed. Because I know you got to have that Hull C. I know that. So
yeah.
But go ahead.
So the Corsair. I'll just rush right through the last bit. The Corsair. It's a Drake ship. I'm not a huge fan of Drake ships, but I do like it. I think it's a cool, asymmetrical design. I probably won't have it, but I probably won't have it very long. It'll probably end up getting melted, probably after IE anyway. And then the mining thing is interesting. That's going to be a massive ship.
Yes.
I think it's going to be what? I would say that the Argo Mole is probably what? Let's say equivalent to Connie. Okay, it's probably in that range, right?
Yeah.
The next ship that they're bringing out, it's going to be like a Carrack or a C2. It's going to be gargantuous.
Yes.
So, gargantuous for a mining ship that we're accustomed to. And how hard is that ship going to be? You're not putting that ship on ground.
No.
You're going to the Halo Orion. Halo Belt Orion. What's that place called?
Aaron's Halo.
Aaron's Halo. Yeah. Didn't say that.
It will be one day Orion's Halo Belt.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love the SCV. I think my org leader and we drove it around, had a blast with it, and I think it's a great little ship. Little drivable. My next favorite's the Ursa Rover, so I think that both of those are really cool. I love ground vehicles, so I don't really have a problem with them. I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right. We're gonna go to fire.
No, okay. Definitely going to get one of the A1s, definitely, because I don't have a bomber yet, and I like the small form factor. Um, being able to get in and out quickly in a bombing run with a bunch of people, especially for like, let's say jump down event, something like that. That's going to be beneficial to the game, or to gameplay if you want to say it that way. So,
Well,
but
I look at
yeah,
it like this. I don't mean to interject on you, but I really think that the A1 is going to be more strategic
hmm
than the A2. The A2
yeah,
is is the tactical last resort weapon. And
right,
you're looking here at this one. This one is strategic. This one is go in, hit a specific target, and get the hell out.
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly,
that's what I love about that. So
right.
that's my thought.
Yeah, I mean that could even be useful going to like Pyro. If you've got to have a support ship with you, you're going to land on whatever planet, and you want to make sure it's clear. You can take that and strategic, maybe a couple light fighters with you, and then drop off your cargo run and head back. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, as far as like the Drake ships, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of Drake ships. They're okay. It looks cool. The Corsair looks cool. But I don't know if I'll get one of those. But the STV, I'll definitely get one of those. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
worth it. It's worth it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely gonna get one of those. Yep.
Okay. And let's go to Joe.
Well, the Crusader line that they came out with, I can't find anything wrong with any of the ships that they've, or the STV or UTV or the redesign of the other one. I can't find anything wrong with it. I love the decisions they made. I like the fact that they made a bomber that everybody can really get into. I think that's going to be everybody's first bomber, at least for now, until they come out with something better. But right now, that's the best choice.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see a lot of that whole line in particular going forward. It's gonna be very popular,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be interesting to see how the carpet bombing with the what is it, size 3 bombs? Is that
Size
what it
5.
was? 5? Oh,
5.
5. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that gets used.
Yeah.
They said that it's not meant to completely obliterate one area, but it's for taking out like the personnel and vehicles in the area, and I like that. And so I'll probably pick up the bomber at some point. I'll probably end up buying it in game. And same thing with the executives, the VIP series. I don't know how I feel about it. I really want to get into it. Like I want to say it's going to be good, but I don't know how transport's going to be. So
Right.
I don't know. I think it'll be fun to kind of take out with your friends at first
Mm-hmm.
and chill around in. There's really not much exploration, so I don't know. I have a Corsair right now, and my dick is very hard right now. For that ship. I can't wait. I feel like the inside is very well built. As far as like the layout, I think it's great, like perfect. I don't know.
You
I will
sound.
say it's my favorite Corsair of my favorite ship.
Yeah.
You sound like
Yeah.
Salty Mike when he heard about base building at Space Station. He said his desk was rising.
Oh, yeah.
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 That was funny.
The space station thing was, yeah, that caught me off guard because he just said that little line and I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is that? Are you serious? Because I don't think I thought of that yet. I didn't think we'd be able to do that. But
Right.
anyways, yeah, the Corsair. That's probably going to be my main driver all the time.
Okay.
The PTV. Oh, we talked about this earlier, Shadow.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, we did.
I love the classic look. I think they need to keep it around somehow. in a specific way where people can somehow earn it through like an event. I think it'd be cool to have some sort of lore event where you can go, find it or use it in a specific mission or something. I don't know, and maybe you get to keep it. I don't know, just the classic version. That's probably too much, hopeful thinking, but I love the redesign too, though. So I have 3 of them, and just for that LTI tokens though, because I'm sure they're gonna be dirt cheap in game.
Well,
and
you got to look at it like this too, okay? If CIG was smart, I would give the classic one away to every player. I would, because that was the first vehicle. If I'm correct, that was the very first vehicle in the game.
You had a little track in your hangar module where you could do jumps out of it, and yeah, that's a very beloved vehicle for everyone.
So
that's been a long time backer.
I can see why they took the PTV out of the ship showdown, because of what they were
I didn't
doing.
realize it was that extensive.
Yeah.
When they said that they were doing some sort of rework, I had no idea they were completely redesigning it and putting like gun racks on it and all of that.
Right.
But I think it's good.
Yeah.
I also don't think they wanted it to win.
Yeah.
My little tinfoil hat says they didn't want it to win because
Right.
they didn't like the drama from last year. But
Right.
whatever. Regardless of whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
right.
I would have loved for that to win.
Me too. Okay.
We're still getting a skin out of it, so.
Yeah. Okay, Nomad.
All right,
Thoughts?
everybody. If you've played with me, you know I'm big on the Mandalorian lore, so I'm all silver. So when I saw that E1, I was like, all right, sold. Luxury ships. I have my 400i with the Meridian paint, and I've been like, man, I gotta get rid of this thing, and I never really use it. And then I see that, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. They must have been listening. Turn my cell phone off. Bombers. I've always had the Gladiator. I tried the Eclipse, wasn't a fan. Tried the Retaliator, wasn't a fan. I got it, they're torpedoes. And then I tried the A2. I was like, this is too big. If only they had something a little bit smaller. Again, they must have heard me. And I'm like, wow, 10 size 5s, and I could rapid fire them. So
Yeah.
in case I do miss the first or second one, we know an inch here isn't much, but when it hits the ground, that's like, we're talking 100 meters. So that's perfect if you're not that good at bombing. Or if you want to bomb a big area, not do. Everyone talks about the size 10s in the A2, and it's not the impact that always gets the target. It's the radius of it. So imagine smaller
Yes.
impact zones, smaller radius. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
C1, I'm not really much of a cargo guy. I got a pirate for that, and so I was like, whatever. Corsair, I did have it at one point, but got tired of waiting, and then I got the Redeemer. So if this is as good as they're making it sound, it already has what, 4 size 5s on it. That's right there, my top and bottom gunner that the pilot's going to be controlling, or my front gunner. So it might be in competition with the Redeemer. So that's about it.
Shields aren't that great. That's the only downside.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
And then vehicles, last night I did a cool mission where I had guys with crime stat 5 that needed fuel. So they waited at a bunker, A2 landed. I rolled up in that new STV. They're calling it the new STD because everyone's getting it. So it was amazing. I rolled up in someone's A2 from the back door and just mass murdered everybody in there because that thing is fast.
Yeah, it's fast. It's fast.
But yeah, that's about it. I mean, I've been waiting. Let's see what happens. Great points from everybody, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse and re-hit all the same marks, but I agree with everybody.
All right. And Crazy. If Crazy's still there.
Uh-oh.
That's okay.
He fell asleep. We're boring him.
I forgot to add one thing. The E1, he said the drinks. You'll be able to choose the drinks. I'm hoping that says it's going to be having a working fridge. Because the Redeemer lost its upside. I mean, I think it would have won the show if it had a working fridge. Now, if the E1 has a working fridge, it's going to be a game changer.
I agree. I agree.
It should.
Yeah.
We'll see why not.
For an executive vehicle, yes.
They're not going to have warm drinks, I can tell you that.
Right.
What are we, peasants? Come on.
Okay, well, I hope everybody enjoyed this little discussion. I mean, as a small content creator, myself and Joe, we thought that we should have our own little panel of what we thought about Citizencon, and we are going to, he and I, we're going to get our video and everything working a little bit better so we can do it through OBS and get it all straightened out. And that way we can have a much better and cleaner setup. So give us a little time and we'll get it all together. And I enjoyed this.
Next month.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. It was fun, man. I mean, we did talk about it during Citizencon, but this way, after the fact, and we all got to absorb what was going on, I think it was better to do it this way and talk about it like a couple days after, and everybody just chill and get their thoughts together. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad and I'm happy that y'all came to the podcast, and I appreciate it. And that's it. We're all good. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. And
Yeah, have fun. Have a good night, guys.
alrighty,
Yeah.
take care,
Guys,
man.
have a good night.
Okay.
And appreciate it. And this is Shadow Spectre 11 calling the Snowbird meeting room to a close. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good night.